Yeah.
Ready? Go. I call us to order at 7 o'clock, and we'll start with a pledge to the flag.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, first up on the agenda, we have visitor citizens forum. At this time, any person with business for the council not scheduled on the agenda may speak to the council. Linda, does anyone sign up? No one has signed up. All right, next up, we have presentations. So we have a couple of presentations here. First one is proclamation designating Constitution Day. And we do this each year, and so we will do this. Linda.
Ms. Saunders?
I'm going to wear my glasses this year. It's going to be glasses. Put them on for the handout, too.
It'll be mine.
Oh, well, you know, no, I think you're okay. Okay. So, whereas on September 17, 1787, 55 delegates to the Constitutional Convention in Philadelphia, Independence Hall, signed the United States Constitution, a document that serves as the guardian of our liberties. And whereas September 17, 2019, marks the 252nd anniversary of the drafting of the Constitution of the United States by the Constitutional Convention. And whereas it is the privilege, honor, and duty of the American people to accord official recognition to this magnificent document, whereas Public Law 915 guarantees the issuing of a proclamation each year by the President of the United States designating September 17th through the 23rd as Constitution Week. Now, therefore, I, Dr. Mark E. Vargas, Mayor of the town of Lakewood Village in the state of Texas, do hereby proclaim the week of September 17th through the 23rd as Constitution Week, and ask our citizens to reaffirm the ideals the framers of the Constitution had in 1787 by vigorously protecting the freedoms guaranteed to us and reflecting on the privileges of being an American with all the rights and responsibilities which these privileges involve. And witness on the 12th day of September 2019. All right.
Mr. Meredith?
So now we have an announcement, I guess.
Mr. Meredith? Yeah, you take care of it.
You will. Sure. You have the floor, sir.
Yeah, all right. Well, I don't know if I should address the council first, or the citizenry. The International Dark Sky Association would like to officially proclaim that the town of Lakewood Village is now an official certified International Dark Sky community, and proclaim September 11th.
Can you stand in the center?
September 11th, 2019. And it's after a lot of hard work and
2 years of work.
2 years of work and lots of committee meetings and thousands of observations of the night sky. Well, actually, it's a machine doing it, but we have to download it periodically. And it's quite an honor for Lakewood Village. I believe it is the 17th community in maybe the world, but certainly in the United States. That's a dark sky community. As of just, I think 3 or 4 months ago, there was only 128 dark sky places. That's parks and developments and communities and reserves in the whole world. So this is only about the 5th dark sky community in Texas. And so it's the first in North Texas, the first outside of the hill country.
Yes.
So it's quite an honor, and the town of Lakewood Village ought to be very, very proud of what they've done and the accomplishments and their commitment to maintain good night skies for everyone.
should know, of course, that, this was about a 2-year project that Ed Reed took on and championed through, and Cheryl's here. Cheryl did a lot of the educational stuff. And Cheryl, you're going to be taking over from Ed, the Dark Skies continuing program for the city. And we're very appreciative of that. And this is very important to us. This has been a really important thing. It's amazing. Look, I mean, there's literally less than 2 dozen. So that's great. That's great. Thank you, Gordon. Thank you. Okay. All right, next up, we have a public hearing, and there is a public hearing scheduled on proposed combined property tax rate of, Linda's got a typo here, 0.415 per $100 for citizen comment. So we adopted the tax rate. The tax rate's in the budget, and so this is. Does anyone have anything to comment about the tax rate? Okay.
I make a motion that we close the public hearing.
All right, I have a motion to close the public hearing on the tax rate.
I'll second.
Eric's got the second. All those in favor? Thank you very much. All right, next up we have a public hearing is scheduled to provide opportunity for citizen comment on proposed ordinance on items F5 through F7. This is, sorry, Rick. When we pass an ordinance, we have typically one meeting, we discuss the ordinance where it's discussion only. Second time around, we change it or we take action on it. Before we take action on any ordinance in the city, we allow the citizens to comment on the ordinance before we take action. So that's what items 5 through 7 are, is 3 ordinances which we are amending in the city. So does anyone have any comments regarding those 3 ordinances? Okay.
Make a motion we close the public hearing.
All right, I have a motion to close the public hearing. I'll second. Matt's got the second. All those in favor? All right, thank you very much. All right. Moving on to the regular agenda, the first item is consideration of ordinance adopting the 2018 property tax rate. Lynn's got another type. What's the 30?
The ordinance is correct.
Okay, the ordinance is right, the agenda is wrong. But it's the 0.415, so adopting the property tax rate. So we've already discussed this. So this is the,
Is that you correct? Is that the old one?
I think no, you've got it right, there's just one typo here, it's not a big deal. I'll show it to you.
Okay.
Okay, so basically this is the tax rate. This covers the debt servicing, so nothing's different than what we've done before. This is what's embedded in the contract. Any questions, council?
It's going to be a roll call vote.
All right, for the tax rate?
Yes.
Okay, Linda?
Mayor Pro Tem West,
Yes.
Councilman Bouchon,
Yes.
Councilman Farage,
Yes.
Councilwoman Leslie. Yes. Councilman Bissonnette.
Yes.
So we don't need to make motions now.
Sorry, I thought I heard a motion.
Okay.
You didn't make a motion?
You said it was a roll call vote, so that we have to.
Okay, then I jumped in and I
Okay,
apologize.
so,
Do we need a motion?
yeah, make a motion to approve the tax rate.
Okay, I make a motion we approve the tax rate.
No.
Okay, so Daryl's got the, who's got the second? Serena's got the second. Oh,
Okay.
Now you did the roll call.
No, let me do it again, no.
Are you gonna do it
All
again?
right, Mayor Pro Tem West,
Yes.
Councilman Bouchon,
Yes.
Councilman Farage,
Yes.
Councilwoman Leslie. Yes. Councilman Bissonnette.
Yes.
Was it the same?
It was, the numbers match.
Okay. All right, next up. How quick does this? What's the next item?
Ratify the budget.
Okay, ratify the budget. So what we have to do is we have to take a third vote on the budget that we really need, what we passed before. So I need a motion to ratify the budget.
I'll make a motion to ratify the budget.
Okay, a motion.
Second.
Eric's got the second. Linda, it's a roll call again?
Yes.
Yes.
Everyone West.
Yes.
Councilmember Shaw.
Yes.
Councilman Farage.
Yes.
Councilwoman Leslie. Yes. Councilman Smith.
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay, next up on the agenda is discussion of the public services contract. So we've had the public services out here for at least 15 years. I think at least 15. It had different names then, but predecessor, at least 15, and all 13 that I've been here has been with public. So our contract is up in January, so it's up for another 5-year renewal. Under bidding law, we could send it out to bid if we wanted to, but we're not going to because I see no upside to sending it out. The switching costs are high, and to say 20 cents or something, it's not worth it. We did send it out to bid many years ago, and it was not an enjoyable experience at all. It was quite painful because we have to advertise and have the attorneys draw up the documents, and we have to have open comment periods, and you got to go through all the state hoops. We have to do the same thing for that as we're doing for the concrete roads. We have to do all the bidding stuff, and then the bids that came back from CWD were terrible. It was a big Mickey Mouse game. It was a fiasco, and we ended up obviously sticking with Allied. It wasn't worth switching, so. We're not required to send it out to bid. It's not worth sending it out to bid. Everything's working fine with Allied. There's no reason to send it out to bid. So what we want to do is, if you've had a chance to look at the contract, there's some new things in the contract. Linda is the one, I've had Linda negotiate the contract with Lee. So this is Lee. I don't know Lee's last name.
I don't know either way to be called, but yeah, Lee Collins, the municipal manager for the Louisville business unit.
And Rick is here. Rick used to be our guy. Rick is now on a bigger empire, but we can still call Rick if we have a problem.
Okay.
But Lee's here to answer any questions you might have. So one of the things I asked Linda to put in the contract was go to bulk to 4 times a year rather than every other month, and get it off the first. Let's get it off the holidays, and so I believe it's in here as like February, and it's off the quarter.
February.
Yeah, so I believe that's in there. If
It
you guys
is,
have a
yeah,
chance.
it is in there, but I know that doesn't cover the July 4th, right, for example, because I know you have a lot of stuff after that, right?
Well, our problem was at the first of the month, in the odd months, it was with every holiday.
Okay.
July 4th, the city gets trashed right before July 4th. Halloween, which is the last of it, gets trashed before November 1st.
Yeah, okay.
New Year's, it was like the perfect storm. Every time somebody's having a party, or we were bringing people into the city, we were trashing it before they got there. So it was like, oh, who came up with this plan? And frankly, we don't need it every other month. We really don't. If we have a major storm that knocks down a lot of trees, we'll call you.
Right.
But throwing your refrigerator away, we don't need to do that every other month. And so I think quarterly should, it saves you, it saves us. I think that's just better. And I know it doesn't have the dates on there. It has the months, but.
But that's something that we would work with Linda. And
Yeah, just some. I don't care whether it's the 15th, the 12th, square root of 11. As long as it's not the first.
And we'll probably put it, especially up front, because there'd be a change, we'll probably send a magnetic calendar of every home that will mark the bulk week on there.
Yeah, because Clint, I know, puts one up on our website with
Yeah,
doing that, and
so we can look at doing that and
Is the magnet new, or is that something you guys have done in the past?
I'm sorry, Henry.
Is the magnet new, or is that something you've done in the past?
We started magnets about a year and a half ago, and I've had good success with it. We have some call ahead stuff, we have to have everybody's number, but the magnets, we have a lot of every other week recycling. That's throughout North Texas,
Mhm.
and a lot of folks get confused on every other week, so we started doing magnets. It's worked good for keeping them from
I
having
actually
calls.
love that idea.
That's a good idea.
Yeah.
Not that I don't like our town website, but having a magnet you see every day.
So we can go over that. In addition to the magnets, so yeah, we're here to answer questions for you, but in addition to the magnets, Rick might talk about this a little bit later, but recycling has really changed in the U.S. in the last 2 years. And so one thing as a company that we are doing is public education campaigns. And so we have tons of print materials, email, water bill, stuffing, I can't talk, sorry. I'm nervous, I apologize. But things that you can put in the water bill to send to everybody, but the point is that we've got all this collateral that we can send to your community so that it can teach people or kind of change their habits to reduce contamination and recycling.
What I really like is,
Pizza boxes.
What?
It's the pizza boxes.
Exactly.
you just got you the lids only, right? You can't fill the box.
Exactly.
But what I really like, it's simple,
Uh-huh.
is you had great stickers that used to be on the lids. Do's and don'ts, and they were great because they're right on the lid. And some of the new cans we had those, and some of the recycling that we're getting, that are being recycled from other places, don't have them. But that would be really helpful, to just literally walk around and, it's easy to do, just slap them on the can. You know what I mean? Those would be very helpful.
If you guys want stickers, then we do have those. I've been told that a lot, because things can change so quickly, that though they become outdated, right? And if people don't replace them with the wrong information, but if you guys want those, we can do that.
Yeah, I think just to get the low-hanging fruit, to realize, look, don't put your paper towels that you wiped up the sink with. I know it's paper towel, but that's not what we mean by paper.
Correct, yes.
But don't start flushing.
Yeah, there's basically 4 materials that you can recycle right now, so we can just get people to change their habits and recycle those 4 things, and we're gonna be good.
Now, so there's a couple new features in the contract. So one of the parameters that we wanted to do, again, I asked Linda to negotiate where we lock the rate in for a couple of years, so it doesn't change every year. We don't want to have to go to community billing and go through all the rigmarole of us changing the bills and recalculating the sales tax is now 2 cents more. The bill's changing.
Sure.
So we'd rather, if we could do it, which we investigated, didn't quite work, having one rate for 5 years, but that's a little too long with uncertainty. But so you'll see the rate, if you look at the appendix, it sticks for like every other year. Right, exactly. And that was done to try and limit the amount of changes.
Correct.
Adding 29 cents one year and 38 cents the next year and 40. And I would tell you that I think our overall rate increase in the last 10 years has been something like 20%. It's like less than 1% annualized. I think some of our rate increases slipped through the cracks, maybe, but we, but I can't believe that, you would go through a lot of stuff where my DirecTV bill is $90, my electric bill is $200, my phone with Verizon is $145, garbage is $19. Are you kidding me? What a steal of a deal to get all that stuff out of there for around $20 a month. For everything else,
Yeah, we do.
so I think I don't want to get too wrapped around the axle with the fact you're going to have to charge $1 for recycling. It might be 92 cents, or you might get a credit of 52 cents, or it is what it is. That's just the way that it is. Nobody's able to recycle now. The market's changed. It's just different. China's closed. They closed the door, and you can't just send ships full of scratch paper, barges full of that to China. They won't take it anymore. And that market's gone.
And one of the things that differentiates Republic from other waste providers is that we, as a company, are still committed to recycling and will be, and we're going to write out whatever that cost is. And so, there was a news story recently of Houston, for example. I don't know if you guys saw that, but one of the trash collectors was caught dumping recycling into the trash truck, right? We do not do that. And Rick works at our Plano location where we have a brand new recycling center that we reinvested in. And so all of the recycling for this area goes there and is sorted and all of that. So that's something that we as a company are committed to. And we're making that very apparent to the
And if I can jump in just real
Sure.
quick. I'm Rick Burns with Public Services, Honorable Mayor and Council members. Thank you for, one, I want to say from my heart, allowing me to be part of the community over the last few years that I've been in the area. I will always be a phone call away. I'm a step on our toes, but I always am. And I'm just a little bit more west than what I used to be or whatever claim was. But the understand on the recycle side, it has changed dramatically over the last 2 years. And I'm telling you right now, every city I've gone in and done addendums to the contracts. And sort of the same language what you have here under new one. We're committed to it. We just spent $30 million on a new facility in Plano, which I'd love for everybody to come out and do a tour. We have a 5,000 square foot learning center, so we're going hard after schools and education right now, and we will communicate. In the new contract, you also have 100% share of commodity minus glass, because it's a negative. We lose about $32 a ton on glass right now. It's still getting recycled, and residual or contamination, which is running about 30%. So our goal is to, as a partner, our goal is to get rid of the residual, because it only helps the city put more tons into it. But there is a rebate that you'll get a credit every month.
Correct.
And at the beginning of the year, you'll get a credit to your account that will go right back to the city. So that's something that's positive in this. But we are here for the long haul. And just an example of what you were saying is, and people are shocked when we say this, we're from the port of Long Beach. We used to ship containers back to China on a backhaul, so they would bring material in, and we would ship materials to China. We shipped that cheaper than a truckload going from Long Beach to San Diego. So people are shocked when they hear that, but that's bottom line, is it was so cheap for us to do it. That closed down. Everything shipped to Malaysia. Malaysia just shut down. So there's a big supply and demand issue right now. That's what is dropping the commodity pricing. But just so you know, in public services, all our material that we bail go to mills throughout the United States, and they reuse it and send it. So your aluminum cans that you do here are actually made into sheets for automobiles. Your plastics are have to go to Mohawk, and they're made into carpeting. Your paper and your cardboard go to facilities and are made into cardboard boxes. So we have mill relationships, and we're fortunate, and your glass is going to Midlothian, and they chip it up, and they have to reuse 50% to make recycled glass, so they ship it to different manufacturers. So as you read the news that it's going to the landfill, understand that we're fortunate because we found mills from Kentucky to Georgia to Texas that we ship to, and all your material is going to mills and getting reused. Okay?
Thank you. That's good.
Any other questions?
So I had a question regarding the rate, so like every 3 to 5, right, but it's all for residential only, and then municipal, commercial, industrial changes yearly. Is that just, I guess they're different?
Yeah, that's based on the consumer price index for the water sewer trash index.
Now, it used to be in certain cities, the commercial subsidized the residential. So in other words, those roll-off containers you see behind the McDonald's, because nobody has to pay for that. The company pays, but they would be charged, relatively speaking, a higher rate there, so that the residential would be $14, but the guy with the roll-off is paying, $400 a month, the business side. So they cross-subsidize. That's typical. We don't have commercial. So what we do, which keeps our cost a little lower, is in Oak Point, Republic bills them. They do the billing individually. The city doesn't do the billing. So we bill out, we pay the bill, and then we collect on the backside. So that's because we don't have commercial to offset, but that's why we as the city are the provider of garbage service, because that allows it to be a much lower rate than if they take on the risk of payment and skipping out and mailing it and all that kind of stuff. Oak Point, the rates are higher, and they only have, I think, 2 cans. We have 3.
Yeah, they get 1 and 1.
They get 1 and 1, and their rates are higher than ours. So it's a very cost-effective. We're where we want to be cost-effective-wise. There's just not. Nobody out there is going to do it with lasers, and it's garbage.
And the most cost we have is in residential. It's the most labor intensive. It's, although we're automated here, still when we break out our cost structure through all our lines of business, residential is always the one that, which is why that's why you try to keep residential rates rates low in certain cities, you'll see they're lower, but the commercial side of it subsidizes all that, so that, we just don't have that opportunity here.
So where I'm going is, it's difficult to make apples and apples. So if you suddenly said, let's compare us to, Corinth, well, they're all 935, and you can't compare a house to our house. We don't have any commercial.
And the fact of the matter is that a lot of times cities, how we handle business and how we communicate and how accessible we are, they think that's the norm for all companies. And 78% of the companies that leave us end up back with us within 5 years. That's a fact across the United States. So we're proud of what we're trying to do, and there's a lot of unbelievable stuff going on over the last 5 years. I was fortunate today to sit with our number 2 guy in charge out of our corporation, who in all reality will probably be our CEO within about 3 years. And he laid out the 5-year plan of the technology that's coming down to, we're a little ways out, but down to, instead of the driver having to do the automated arm, and there's inconsistency on how we do it, so all that will be automated. It'll eye it up, it'll grab it, it'll do it the same way and put it right back in the same spot. We will be hands off on that type of stuff. So there's a lot of technology coming. We're big on safety. We're the #1 safety company in the world when it comes to the solid waste industry. We work hard at it. But that kind of stuff, and then onboard technology, which is going to be pretty neat. So, just so you know.
Question over here, Cliff? You have something?
Just on the, I think the water bill stuffers, I mean, if you want to send that, I don't see that's an issue at all, stuff the envelopes. If you have links back to your own home webpage that you want, we can put those on ours to do recorrects back to your page, so it's current.
That's great, yeah, we've got a brand new website, Recycling Simplified,
Yeah.
and so we'll get that connected to y'all's website as well.
Yeah, if you go on recyclingsimplified.com, you'll be able to see, one, it's an education piece, and we constantly update it. The second part of it, you'll see all the literature that's out there for residents, municipalities, and there's just an array of different things you pick and choose from. And we offer that all in this, everybody in North Texas has the ability to do that. We also have been on the radio, 15-second spots all over North Texas for about the last 3 months, and we actually have now got iHeartRadio where we're trying to do an education piece where we break in. So the communication's big right now. We know we have to change the culture of recycling. It's tough, and the best line I heard is a lot of folks think we're a Salvation Army type place, that it's a place from a thrift store for them to put everything in, because you'll be shocked, but we have bowling balls, dirty diapers, garden hoses. I mean, we did a survey, and 68% of the people said when in doubt, we're going to put it in recycling. We're trying to get the message, when in doubt, throw it out, because it's usually not recyclable. But so that's what we're battling. That's a big education and culture change that we're working with right now.
Where's the facility at the plant?
It's off 14th Street, 4200 East 14th Street. So right at the very west side of Plano, right before you hit Murphy. So Los Rios and 14th, it sits right there. That's where our calling facility. But you can get out there, just let us know. We'll set the tour up, but it's amazing. It's the technology it's the best in the world because it's the newest. It's what always happens. But the way it sorts and the way it processes is completely different than what the recycle facilities are doing right now.
Now, there was you and I talked about this a while back. Lee, I think you confirmed it. So the trucks they're using out here, these are the smaller,
Yes.
because we get on the roads, right? We want to have the smallest truck possible on our roads, which helps with the turning radius in the cul-de-sacs, as well as just the weight
The
issue.
overall weight.
And we do have, right, you said, model, what?
They're 20, don't get me wrong, I don't know if they're 26 or 20, I think they're 26-yard vehicles. And the reason we have small ones is because we deal with a lot of alleys where if you, right next door, if you go there, they're 32-yarders, so they're a lot larger. So we do have a smaller vehicle now, obviously you get less of a payload. But because of alleyways and a lot of things, our whole fleet up there is the same size. Because we deal with the colony in a lot of other places that the alleys are so tight, we need a small vehicle, those are the same as they come in here.
I know you're going to be investing a lot in your new roads, so.
Yes.
We better not spill.
Rick can tell you that I'm somewhat protective of those streets.
I got gray hair one day, it's internal, but I got gray that day.
On your technology, you guys looking at zero emission vehicles too?
Actually, we're looking at electric actually.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Really?
I think we're going to be testing one there's a lot, we're scared about battery life. But I think North Carolina, we're going to test out of them, but I think our future's going to go that way.
Yeah.
We're able to do it because we don't have to run over the road. We're pretty local, pretty close, especially like we opened the Louisville facility to be able to handle a series instead of running it from Plano like we used to do. But I think electric's coming in the future. I don't know how far out, but that's the C&G. We have about 20% of our fleet is C&G, but we're going to go electric is where we're ultimately going to go.
I can't wait to see the first Tesla garbage truck. It's gonna be
I'm
fantastic.
Take a lot of battery.
I heard the truck's coming, so here we go.
As long as it's durable,
Commercial
that's
vehicles.
the challenge we have is the durability of it to be able to run down the road, stay, make it through a day, and make it through a landfill.
And the regulations are coming, I'm just curious when that was on your guys' radar.
You got, everybody good? Yeah. Any more questions? Matt?
I just have one, just regarding the term, so like 5-year initial term, that's a pretty normal for a contract, and then there's a renew automatic for 5 years. Is that pretty standard?
Well, they used to do that a lot with the phone company. I forget what they call it. What's it called? Evergreen contract, yes. Then they made some, you couldn't do some of them at one point. I think with a phone company or something, I forget what it was. It was when I first got in. But
on a lot of our
Yeah, so-
contracts, yes, it is.
I mean, frankly, from our standpoint, what we try and do for some of the stuff is keep it on. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. Just have it automatically, just keep doing what it's doing. You know, if we have to look at it, you know, usually like this, it's almost like, at least about a year ago, it was like, yeah, I wonder when the contract's up.
Yeah.
You know, nothing spurred it, just like, well, we better check that, you know, and for all we know, it could have been last year, because it just keeps right on going.
There's, just to answer your question, 5 and 5 is pretty standard. 10 and 5 is becoming more standard to try to keep price down. But you have an option when you're going into your contract to say, hey, we're going to send you a letter of cancellation. So it automatically rolls over after a certain period. But you have the option in the contract to send the letters, and we do too, to send a letter and say,
60 days.
yeah. So you can do it, and if you were to go out with bid, you do it way before that. But we're not the type of company that's going to sit there and say nothing. I talked to Linda starting in November last year, saying, hey, it's a year out, and at least I'm always at a point of I'm going to part with our friends because I know I'm probably going to be back in 5 years anyway. But give you enough time to react to it also. So just that's the way we operate.
All right, so we'll bring, I don't see, we'll figure it out, but I mean, I don't see any reason why we won't pass this pretty quickly.
Okay.
Is this has come out of the attorneys, your side?
Yep, well, it has to do a final review, but yes.
Okay, so,
I think there was 2 changes made. It's not going to be anything to the attorneys. I think there was 2 changes in language that we talked about.
Mhm.
The attorneys will look at it and say you're fine.
Exactly.
Ultimately, what they do anyway is they come back and say, hey, do you agree with it? Even if they say, I don't know if I like that, they say, well, you agree with it, and we'll just say we're agreeing with it, and we'll go on our way. So the version you have is going to be the version you can
okay, so Linda, you'll handle that. Okay. Very good. All right.
Thank you.
Thanks, Rick.
Thank you.
Thanks, Lee.
Thank you.
We